What's going on, Jerome's? So the Minnesota Vikings finished out a very forgettable 2023 season with a 30-20 loss at Detroit. Sort of is what it is. Vikings showed some life, showed some fight in the second half, but what wasn't meant to be. But the main star of the show was, of course, Justin freaking Jefferson, right? So JJ got his 1K, which is impressive because he missed 7.5 games this season. And the whole thing about JJ is you know that this is going to irk him all off season. Both the Vikings having a rough season in the standings, as well as him, not being all pro, not being Pro Bowl for the first time in his career, and he's going to come in playing like his hair is on fire in 2024. You absolutely love to see it, man. But either way, the Vikings just came up short, and it was a situation of woulda, coulda, shoulda. And the Lions, played their starters. Unfortunately, a couple of their starters got dinged up. Branch with their wrist. Amon-Ra cracked some ribs, and Laporta. Again, prayers up for Laporta. That did not look good with his knee. The Vikings, just too many injuries and too many self-inflicted mistakes all season, and that's what's going to haunt the team going forward. And it's weird. It's weird because now that the Vikings have been eliminated, like, you find yourself rooting for the Bears to beat the Packers because that would improve the Vikings draft pick, which we'll get to, but also it would put the Vikings in the bottom of the division. And again, hey, fans have been clamoring for the Vikings to bottom out, and this better be worth it. So there better be a Super Bowl next year, because that's how that works, right? But you got a question or comment, toss a couple bucks in the super chat. Derek Baker, $10 despite losing and missing the playoffs. A lot to like against Detroit. Detroit's best skull. Detroit was playing to win, which is kind of stupid in retrospect. Right, so again, Dan Campbell, he's stubborn, he's hard-headed, and that's something to admire about him, but it's going to get his ass fired. It's exactly what happened with Mike Zimmer, where they had outside chance, a very minuscule chance of moving up to the 2 spot, but what if they lose Laporta for, the season and potentially into next year? Like, what if that's a serious knee injury? What if Amon-Ra and his cracked ribs? He looked pretty good on the 70-yard touchdown, but what if it incapacitates him throughout the playoffs? Was it worth it? I don't know, man. But this game had everything. So Ty Chandler's looking good. Justin Jefferson putting on a show. 12 for $192 and 14. Also, Justin Jefferson just runs things at Ford Field. Like every single game in Detroit. It's his city. He just runs things, man. Love to see it. Addison could have had 2 touchdowns, except he stopped short on that first one off the flea flicker. Johnny Munt coming out of nowhere, having himself a great game. Josh Oliver having a couple nice catches. Nick Muse, your company's computer guy, getting his first career catch. You love to see that. Defensively, there's only one guy. Well, there was 2 guys playing hard: Ivan Pace Jr. and Jordan Hicks. Everyone else sort of on their own. But takeaways from the game. So Justin Jefferson, obviously still him, putting on a massive game. Nick Mullins slinging it downfield. And, of course, like, Nick Mullins is having himself a good game, except then he's just like, oh, yeah, this can't be a Nick Mullins game unless I throw 2+ interceptions, and just got picked off at the end. W. Vang, $5. Should we re-sign Kirk and spend every pick on defense, or trade up for the quarterback of our choice, like Caleb or May? It's going to be hard to trade up at the stratosphere of the draft, because as of right meow, here's things where the Bears are either going to take a quarterback, or they're going to trade out for to a team that will take a quarterback. You got to think that Washington and New England will be in on quarterback. But like we said ad nauseum, like, this is not a 1 or 2 quarterback class. This is a 6-7 quarterback class. So this is not the year where you have to cry in the breast milk about not being up at the top. Greg Phillips, $5. What do you feel the Vikings need to address this offseason beyond the quarterback position? D-line and cornerback. D-line, cornerback, interior offensive line depth as well. Maybe a guy that will challenge Bradbury. Wouldn't be mad, man. Here's where the Vikings stand right now. Currently, as of right meow, in the 10 spot. Now, theoretically, they could move into the 9 spot with the Jets. Because they're so close in strength of schedule, and it factors in So you have common games like, well, not common games, but you got games for the Vikings like the Bears and the Packers and the Broncos and whatnot still to play. So some of these strength of schedule could shift around a little bit, but the Vikings probably going to stay in this area. Now you do have to root for Vegas to win and the Bears to win. Have them move to 8-9 on the season. Have them be a game clear of the Vikes, but who knows? So either way, the Vikings probably draft from like 10 to 12, somewhere in there, or what's realistic, like 9 to 12. They have an outside chance at 9, but we'll see. Anthony Johnson, $10. How many starters are there on defense? Really, Evans looks so bad last few games. It's a good looking question. All right, so if they bring back Daniil, obviously one. Harrison Phillips, except I would move him off the nose. Pace, Beasley, Metellus. That's really it. Like Bullard, I would look to upgrade. Hicks may not be back, even though he's had a good year. Murphy, Murphy's on a 2-year deal. I think he'll be back. I think he'll be fine. He's your best cornerback, which might not be saying much. Yeah, about that. Back takeaways. Injuries and mistakes just killed this season. Where when the Vikings started out 0-3, 1-4, it was the mistakes, the turnovers, and everything, and then they got right, and then injuries started creeping in, and it was just a cavalcade of errors. But there are some questions about Kevin O'Connell, right? So, like, I respect the job that he's done. I think that he made chicken salad out of chicken bleep throughout most of this year, and last year 13 wins and the division. You can't sneeze at that, but I mean, just the game management. Like, there's so many questions, as well as so many delay of game penalties this year. The Vikings led the league with 11, and it was all 4 quarterbacks. So obviously the common factor is Kevin O'Connell calling plays. Also, the lack of innovation in play calling. And again, I understand that it's tough to change things up mid-season, and especially once you lose an MVP caliber quarterback in Kirk Cousins. But the fact that he made next to zero adjustments, catering to Josh Dobbs, catering to Jaron Hall. It's just frustrating, man. A lack of depth on the team is a concern. Now, eventually you just run out of dudes, and that's exactly what happened at cornerback, but it felt like this team is razor thin in terms of depth along the O-line, the D-line, etc., and that comes down to Kwesi. Looking to rebuild both trenches, especially that defensive line. Yes, depth along the interior offensive line is needed as well. You do have star pass catchers. I mean, Addison and JJ are the best wide receiver duo in the league. Hawkinson come back, makes that a holy triumvirate, which is great. Not gonna lie, the tape don't lie, and there was some Vikings players last week as well as this week that just sort of put a stamp on it and mailed it in, man. MV Fishing, $10. I'd say trade up Hunter for a pick also. He's in his prime years, but he's nowhere in the last couple games. Maybe potentially draft a sleeper DN. Have much respect for Hunter. Just my thoughts, though. Well, they can't actually trade Hunter because he's going to be out of contract, and he has a no tag clause. So basically, the Vikings have to let him walk or extend him. So that's where they're at right now. Curtain call. So yeah, this could be it for Harrison Smith. This could have been the last game for Daniil Hunter. This could have been the last game on the roster for Kirk Cousins. I mean, there's a lot of decisions to be made. But notably, I think that Kirko is likely to be back. I think Daniil, it's like 50-50 right now. Harrison, I think, is a huge underdog to be back because he's due a $14.4 million salary, and I think he would have to take a huge pay cut. And frankly, you don't want to disparage him for the work that he's done for the Vikings for so many years. For my money, he's a Hall of Famer, but he's had some rough games the last couple of weeks, including this one. Yeah, don't want to harp on it, but yeah. But also, this is a great spot for a young quarterback. So Kevin O'Connell hopefully will get his mind right, or I'll get it right for you. Harken back to Zimmer. But you have 2 great tackles. You have a semblance of a good offensive line. When they're healthy. You have the best wide receiver duo in the league. You have an explosive running back in Ty Chandler. You have one of the best tight ends in the game when he's healthy in Hawkinson. And is a good spot. I mean, this is a good spot for a young quarterback. Also, if they bring back Kirk, it's a spot where, hey, you don't have to put your ass on the line right away. You can ease into things. Give it a year. So I think it's a good spot. And we are on to 2024. So, I mean, it's kind of a season to forget. I mean, what was it? The Lexus, a season to remember. This is definitely a season to forget. Oh, also, yeah, because we're keeping our ads up. Just see what we got. We got Nike again. Yeah, there you go. That was a Lexus one before, but there you go. Either way, you know what? The Vikings, sort of the best of both worlds. I mean, Vikings fans wanted them to lose to improve draft position. I think the Vikings, I just wanted them to show some fight, man. And it goes back to, was this a meaningless game? I mean, to a degree, you have a point, but you can't just lose, flip a switch, and all of a sudden become a juggernaut. It just doesn't happen. And I know people point to, oh, what about the '89 Cowboys? Yeah, what about them? Is Kevin O'Connell, Jimmy Johnson? Are we going to pull off the Herschel Walker trade? Is that what's going to happen? Please. Alder Smoke, $20. Bad way to end a bad season, but I've enjoyed interacting with this page. Thanks for keeping it fun in spite of everything, Andy. Hey, thank you. And that's the whole thing, too, where... So, if you want to take yourself too seriously, this ain't the spot for you, all right? And it's so funny. Like, people come in hot and they get so offended about things where I'm... So now we're like, oh, you're not a real fan if you want the team to lose. Again, I understand, like, trying to think big picture, even though it's not guaranteed that, hey, higher draft pick means better player. That's certainly not guaranteed. But people got so offended when we tongue-in-cheek said, hey, if you want your team to lose, you're not a real fan. People get so mad about, like, it's so insane. D-Mags, $5. Draft all defense, resign Kirk, resign Hunter, and Davenport should resign for free after zero production gave us. I don't even want for free. Like, if he'll pay us $13 million, he can be on the team. Except he can't wear number 0. That's going to Pace Jr. But it's so weird because on the channel, like, we don't talk politics or anything like that because that is very divisive. But I feel like as contentious as politics are, I don't know the tense. The way that people got in their feels so much over the whole tanking thing and not tanking and draft pick and trying to win games and all that stuff, it's so funny. At the end of the day, it's sports ball. At the end of the day, you draft where you draft. At the end of the day, you're hoping a 21, 22-year-old kid is going to be your savior and not turn into a douchebag when you give him multiple millions of dollars. That's exactly what it is, man. Like, if you can't laugh, you got to cry or something like that. So there you go. But that's the whole thing, too. Like, people are like, oh, dude, why don't you be more realistic? You got better numbers. I don't care about numbers, frankly. And frankly, we do okay. All right. So if you don't want to have a good time, if you don't want some jokes, if you don't want some esoteric, sarcastic inside jokes, I mean, this ain't the spot for you, man. But if you're new to the channel, keep it here. We got tons of off-season stuff coming up. Plus, we'll track the teams that are actually in the playoffs. Just here. Anyways, you guys are the best. You know what to do. Skull, production value.